What is actually going on at West Ham? What is actually going on at our club? Can you tell me? Because I can't tell you. Oh my word, man. I mean, today in the West Ham world has just been another relentless day. And to add matters, a transfer target's gone. Just like that. Just like that. Right, let me start from the beginning. Okay. We hear over the last couple of days the situation with Mickey Antonio. Mickey Antonio looks like he's potentially interested in talks with the Saudi Arabian club. And I don't necessarily blame him, if I'm being honest. Because do you know what? When it comes to Mickey Antonio, there's a couple of things I agree with and a couple of things I don't agree with. So I'll tell you the things I agree with and where I'm happy with Antonio. I know he's the most unorthodox player we've got. He is a Premier League top goal scorer, which I still can't believe I'm saying necessarily at the end of the day, but he has always proven many West Ham fans wrong, but by having him in our ranks has always forced West Ham to play a specific way, especially when he plays up front. Many could question whether or not he was pivotal and a main part of the reason why we progressed over the last 3 years. People don't think last year was a progression, but we won a cup, so necessarily that's an argument for another day. But I thank him for his service, and I think, wow, what an achievement you've had in your career. Like, you can look back at your career at West Ham and you can think, shit, man, I played a part in history. I will be always welcome back to the club, um, and all that malarkey. The things I don't agree with is the manner in which he conducted himself throughout the season. Taking part in all the social platforms and giving his opinion on current football matters when he done that podcast with Callum Wilson and he did the YouTube channel with the Filthy Fellas. And he said some, you know, not great things, if I'm being really honest, but equally though, stuff that could have really had a detrimental effect to our season. Like, I know we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I don't think that stuff's healthy, especially if it's current for the current squad and the current ownership and also managers and fans to hear. I don't think we want to hear it. Not even like for a scoop for our channel or anything like that. It's just not the right time. I'm telling you now, there's stuff we've been given as information that we don't run with because we think first and foremost, we think it may be nonsense, or it could be detrimental at that moment. There are some stuff that we do run with, and most of the stuff we run with is what reports and most reports are coming out and saying. And when it comes to the Antonio situation, I think to myself, if the Saudi Arabia option is available to you, you've got an opportunity to go and get that, what they're calling generational wealth. So go and get it. Go and get it. And that changes the dynamics of West Ham because we're forced to never play that way or with the Antonio type striker again. That's not me being disrespectful to what Antonio's brought to the club. I genuinely thank you, and I've got many fantastic memories with you in our squad. And if you're still going to be here next year, then you have to be back up. But I don't see it happening. I think if Saudi Arabia comes calling, we can generate a reasonable fee. Plus, also, he could go and earn that generational wealth for a couple of years and see out the end of his career. So that's one player that could be heading out the door. The second player, which was quite a surprise for me waking up to the news this morning, is that Creswell is potentially in talks with Wolves. And again, I've not got any negative really to say about Creswell. What a fantastic player he's been and given a great servant to our club. What a fantastic career he's had at our club. Do you know what? He came in just before the peak of his game. He was a young lad, and he's coming into the peak of his game, and he's given his peak years to our football club. He's not from the area. He came in from Ipswich Town and not unheard of, well respected in the lower league, and he stepped up to the plate and he's given us so many fantastic memories. He really, really has. Do you know what? Like, he's so deserving of getting his trophy that he got with West Ham. And you can see what that meant to him, getting his trophy when he won it with West Ham in the Europa Conference League. And I love that sort of stuff. And I love him in terms of what he has brought to our club. He feels and understands what it's like to be a West Ham player. So players like Creswell go down in folklore as a legend. He's won the cup. He never started in the final, but it doesn't matter. He was an integral part of that team that won that cup as well. And also he's given us fantastic memories. He was part and parcel of the 2016 team that left Upton Park, all that sort of stuff. So we've had many ups and downs with Creswell in our ranks. But the thing what's interesting about this is that he could be, as Holly said earlier on, friends reunited. It could be him and Dawson looking up again. And what's interesting is Wolves are obviously really keen on him, and potentially the fee in region of £5 million, which I actually think is quite good considering his age. But what that does is also rule out him as the next captain, which in hindsight's a good thing. I don't think a player at his age should be getting the captaincy, because I think then you're only looking at 1 year option, and that's not really a long-term option for West Ham. So if Creswell gets the captaincy, if he stays at West Ham, that's not a good option for us. We need to be looking at someone for the long term. We've been there, done that, wore the T-shirt with Declan Rice last year, and it's not happening now. But the thought of losing Creswell is quite daunting, because I'm thinking to myself, what have we got as a backup plan? What are our backup plans? I'm not necessarily sure if they know what our backup plans, and that's my concern. And then my next concern comes to the fact that we've just lost out and are about to lose out on Harvey Barnes, because Newcastle have agreed a fee with Leicester for £38 million. Now, depending on what story you believe, I don't really know what to believe myself. 1 minute you're in for him, the next minute he's a number one target, and then the next minute you hear that from club insiders that he's not a target for West Ham. I don't know what it is, but what you do is you look at something like Harvey Barnes and you think, does he fit our system? He looks like he does. Is he a David Moyes player? He looks like he does. Do we need someone out in that left? Not necessarily, but would he add value to that area? Absolutely. And if you do that, what do? You put Ben Rama through the middle. You give yourself an option. You strengthen the squad within. But the concern I've got is what is going on, because it's now Wednesday. We're going into Thursday and we've still not signed a player. Now, the player's going to be coming back from Australia, but what are they doing behind the scenes? I can't help but think that something bigger is going on. I can't help but think that, because it doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. We are in desperate need to bring in more young, vibrant, exciting players. We really are, unless we're going for a whole overhaul and we're maximizing youth, then that is what should be happening, and is not happening. And I don't want us to go into next week without signing a player. We need to be signing a player immediately, well, within reason, immediately, because we should have done our due diligence, we should have done our homework, we should be finding what these players are capable of, who our targets are. So in theory, what's the point in Tim Steidten? Has he been brought in for now, or has he been brought in for the future? That's something that's starting to resonate with me a little bit, is like, well, what's the point of looking at him? If we're losing some of our backroom staff, which I'm not necessarily concerned about massively, because I think we've got enough in the ranks, but what's the situation with people leaving? Is it because they know the long-term option isn't going to be under David Moyes? Are we not spending money because we don't see that long-term option as being David Moyes? I would be really surprised if there was some talk about David Moyes leaving the club before the season started, but I can't help but think, what is going on? Why are we not bringing in players? Why are players heading out the door? And also equally though, like, I'm kind of a little bit excited about the overhaul that we're about to have, because losing Antonio forces our hand and not being able to play a certain way. If you've got to look at the positives from a bad situation, losing Declan Rice forces us to potentially change things up a little bit. But in order to change things up a little bit, you need recruits. And I don't care what anybody says, you need new players to freshen up. We've done this for too long. I know we brought in a lot of players last year, but we still need another load of players. Bringing in 8 players last year doesn't suffice with me and the West Ham fans, and probably not the players, because they need to look over their shoulders and think what's coming up the back burner as well. So I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't know what is going to happen, but I've got to put the faith in the system. I did say I would expect to sign him by the end of this week. What concerns me is we're coming to Thursday tomorrow and we've not got that signing in the door. I'm just hoping that we wake up with a big surprise. I really hope there's loads of smoke and mirrors and something happens that convinces a player to come in and do a job for West Ham and want to come to West Ham. I believe players do want to come to West Ham. I believe we need to be serious about our targets and put the offers in to go and get the player. We need something as a fan base to know, if we've got this money in our pocket, what are we going to do with this money? Just bring someone in who adds value immediately. And don't tell me you've not done your due diligence. Don't tell me you don't have that list. Don't tell me you've not sourced relevant players that can do that. I don't want to go into this season Without Creswell, no replacement. I don't want to go into this season without Antonio, no replacement, unless we're getting a categoric answer that Mubama is stepping into the plate. That makes a whole new ball game. That's different. If you're not going to use Creswell, who is the replacement? You've not got Declan Rice anymore. Who is the replacement? Lanzini's headed out the door. Who is the replacement? Ogbonna has been offered a 1-year contract. Look at his age. Where is the extra cover in the back line? Zuma picks up an injury. Where's the extra cover in our back line? We need that cover. We can't go through the season with what we've got, and we need to turn our fortunes around. We need to do our business early. It's easy for me to say and sit here and be the person that judges the situation, but I think I'd be intrigued to know, like, bringing a player in early doors through a transfer window is more beneficial to the club because they get to bed in a little bit quicker and they get to get familiarised themselves around the club and with all the players that they play with and the management and the style of play that they're going to go for the new season. We're coming back from Australia. We've got 3 more pre-season friendlies to take place before our season starts. We are 4 weeks away from our season starting, and we have no new signings. We have players heading out the door. I'm not panicking yet. I said by the end of the week, I would be giving them the benefit of the doubt, and I hope that is going to turn our fortunes. But when it comes to Antonio, thank you very much for your service. If you do go, thank you. You deserve it. You'll always be welcome back to our club, but it is time to go, in my opinion. It really is. It is your time to go. And also vice versa, when it comes to Aaron Creswell, you've given everything to our club. And I love the fact that you have done that over your best years as a footballer. And for the two of you, you've both deserved to win that Conference League final trophy and that winner's medal, and you deserve it. And you'll go down in history in the West Ham books as players that were part of that squad that did that. So congratulations, all the best if it does happen. And see what happens moving forward. Leave a comment in the comment section, hit the thumbs up, and of course, if you're interested in becoming a channel member, then do that as well. But let me know your thoughts on Antonio heading to Saudi Arabia, potentially question mark, Creswell heading to Wolves, potentially question mark, and of course, West Ham losing out in Harvey Barnes. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. Take it easy. Come on, your hands.